A very good morning. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with breakfast news. In the next half an hour, we will get you all the news from national, international, business and sports front. But before that, a quick look at the top headlines. Congress approaches Election Commission against the use of nota in the upcoming Rajya Sabha polls. Challenges constitutionality of decision in Rajya Sabha. Centre releases relief package of over 2,000 crore rupees for flood-hit northeast states. Death toll in West Bengal floods rises to 47. NIA to question Saeed Gilani's younger son in connection with terror funding case today. Agency reissues summons to Gilani's elder son as well. Talks on technical issues over Indus Water Treaty took place in spirit of goodwill and cooperation, says the World Bank. Sides to reconvene in September. At least 30 people killed and over 60 wounded in a suicide attack at a packed mosque in Herat in Afghanistan. The opposition members objected to an election commission notification in the upper house on Tuesday that provides the MLAs the nota option for the Rajya Sabha polls. The opposition challenged the constitutionality of the ECI's decision. The government clarified that a Supreme Court judgment provides for the nota option. Separately, the Congress approached the Election Commission against the use of nota. Senior Congress leaders Anand Sharma and Manish Tiwari met the Election Commission and demanded the option be removed.
Question hour, please.
As soon as the House assembled for question hour, Anand Sharma of the Congress said that the Election Commission's decision to provide the nota option was made without amending the Constitution or the law. Leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad termed the matter as very serious.
The decision has been made without amending the Constitution or the law that the nota option will be available to the MLAs in the election as per the directions of the ECI. How can this be done? Sir, it vitiates the election. Constitution has not been amended. But Representation of People Act has not been amended. Nota has been introduced. Supreme Court cannot, unless and until the Constitution is amended, this is the Council of States.
ये बड़ा बहुत ही सीरियस है. ये पूरे देश के लिए भी नहीं है. ये सिर्फ गुजरात के लिए ही है. आप गुजरात का, हिंदुस्तान का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अलग हो और देश का अलग बन गया.
Satish Chandra of the BSP and Ram Gopal Yadav of the Samajwadi Party questioned the legality of the Election Commission's decision.
This has to be, and it's about this house. So therefore, it has to be considered. Election Commission, if issues an executive order under 324, which is unconstitutional against 10th schedule, it cannot go beyond 10th schedule.
क्या ये गवर्नमेंट का देखिए, all candidates are the same. Procedure is the same. चुनाव अवैध हो जाए.
Leader of the Rajya Sabha stressed that Election Commission's decision was pursuant to the Supreme Court judgment.
Is that there was a judgment of the Supreme Court which provided for a nota option. The judgment came several years before this government came to power. The Election Commission, pursuant to that judgment, has issued some notification under Article 324. Article 324 covers all elections in this country.
Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari also assured members that the issue will be examined and urged them to allow the House to function.
If it relates to any default or any aspect which involves the Rajya Sabha, then we will look into it, that's all.
It involves directly. How is nota option?
Okay, a point has been raised, it will be examined, that's all.
The chair's assurance failed to quell the opposition's dissent, though, as the opposition members continued to protest. The chair first adjourned the House for 10 minutes and then till 2 p.m.
House is adjourned for 10 minutes.
Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some more news. Security forces killed 2 terrorists, including Lashkar-e-Taiba's top commander Abu Dujana, in an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday. A civilian was killed in the clashes that broke out in many parts of the valley after the encounter.
In a major victory for the security forces in the Kashmir Valley, security forces killed a top Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Abu Dujana in the Pulwama district. Another LET terrorist was also shot dead along with Dujana in an exchange of fire in Hakripura village. The terrorists were believed to be trapped inside a house when the gun battle started.
2 terrorists have been killed. This includes Abu Dujana, the Lashkar-e-Taiba chief for Kashmir, a category A++ terrorist, Arif Nabi Dar, and Arif Dar also is a wanted terrorist. He had been involved in a number of bank robberies, in a number of weapon snatching incidents, and so today both of them have been killed. Abu Dujana is a foreign terrorist, Pakistani.
आतंकवाद वहाँ का समाप्त करना है तो आतंकियों को समाप्त करना पड़ेगा। पाकिस्तान से आतंकी ना आए, वो अगर यहाँ आते हैं तो उन्हें गोली मिलेगी। यही कार्रवाई सरकार कर रही है, पुलिस कर रही है, फोर्सेस कर रही है, सेना कर रही है। हमें किसी भी हालत में कश्मीर में शांति देनी है।
Dujana was listed among the most wanted terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. He was wanted in over 3 dozen attacks on security forces and civilians. Shortly after the encounter, clashes erupted in many parts of the valley. 1 person was killed and several injured as security forces opened fire on stone-pelting protesters near the encounter site in Pulwama.
The people on the behest of these militants, maybe coercion or threatening, they tend to come in between the operating parties and the militants, and that's how they get injured or killed. Today also it happened in the same manner, and we lost a civilian's life. Regrettable, but it could have been avoided if...
All schools, colleges and universities were closed across Kashmir in the wake of the protests. The authorities also suspended mobile internet services across the valley as a precautionary measure. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
The National Investigation Agency will question Kashmiri separatist leader Syed Ali Shah Gilani's younger son Naseem Gilani today. This is in connection with its probe into the terror funding in Jammu and Kashmir. The anti-terror agency issued summons to Naseem, a state government employee, on Monday to appear at its Delhi headquarters for questioning. NIA reissued summons to Naseem's elder brother Naeem, a doctor based in Pakistan, after he failed to appear in response to a July 27th notice since he is in hospital. Both Naseem and Naeem are on the NIA radar in connection with the agency's May 30th case registered against Kashmiri separatist leaders, including Hurriyat members, for allegedly conniving with Hizbul Mujahideen, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Duktaran-e-Millat and others to allegedly raise and receive funds to create unrest in the valley. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Assam on Tuesday to review the flood situation in the state and announced a combined relief package of over 2,000 crore rupees for all the northeastern states. He has also issued a 100 crore rupees corpus to study and find a permanent solution to the flood problem in the region. At least 130 lives have been lost and more than 25 lakh people have been hit by the floods in Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur and Nagaland. Here are more details.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced a total package of 2,350 crore rupees for all northeastern states for flood relief and rehabilitation on short and long-term basis. In an attempt to find a permanent solution to the flood problem in Assam, the Prime Minister also announced an additional 100 crore rupees corpus to set up a research project to study the role of river Brahmaputra in creating the devastating flood every year. With nearly 32 lakh hectares or over 40% of the state's land being flood-prone, the Brahmaputra Valley is considered to be one of the most hazard-prone regions of the country. On Monday, the Prime Minister had also announced 2 lakh rupees each to the families of those who lost their lives due to floods in the state.
A high-powered group with scientists, technologists, engineers, bureaucrats will be constituted, and that group will be initially a corpus of rupees 100 crore will be given to that group so that they can study the course of the Brahmaputra river and suggest remedial measure so that flood problem can ultimately permanently solve.
The announcement came on Tuesday during the Prime Minister's day-long visit to Guwahati to review flood situation in the state. The Prime Minister also met Chief Ministers of Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur and Nagaland, which have also been hit by heavy rains and floods.
We have explained about the damage caused by flood, and then the unusual rain had affected so many households and we have lost about 19 lives, and 5 people are still missing.
77 people have died due to floods in Assam this year, and lakhs are affected in 29 out of the state's 32 districts. The state government has estimated a loss of 2,939 crore rupees due to the devastating floods. Over 90 animals, including 7 rhinoceros, have also died in the Kaziranga National Park in Assam. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the flood toll in the West Bengal rose to 47 on Tuesday, with the death of 7 more persons in the last 24 hours, even as the situation improved as the water level of rivers receded. Around 27 lakh people of the 14 districts of West Bengal were hit by the floods. Around 311 relief camps have been opened for them. Dhaniakhali of Hooghly district and Ghatal in Midnapur district are the 2 worst affected areas. Meanwhile, around 59,000 hectares of paddy seed bed has been damaged out of more than 3 lakh hectares of the cultivated land. According to an official at the Agriculture Department, out of the 10 lakh hectares of the paddy seed beds, more than 1 lakh hectares were damaged. The situation is improving in heavily rainfall affected areas of Rajasthan as water has started receding. As per the State Disaster Management and the Relief Secretary Hemant Khera on Tuesday, no death has been reported and no rescue operation was carried out. As per the reports, 53 persons have died due to natural calamities. The state government has sanctioned 1.24 crore rupees as compensation for the family members who lost their lives due to the floods. Meanwhile, in the last 24 hours, heavy rainfall occurred at isolated places in Jaipur and Bikaner divisions. And with that, time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
Nitish Kumar's entry into the NDA fold. Will you see it as a victory of the NDA or will you see it as a victory of Nitish Kumar?
Well, both. It was a very bold decision on the part of Nitish Kumar.
Nitish Kumar was one person who foisted an entire anti-BJP kind of a coalition, and he had been harping over the fact that we should see a Sangh-Mukt Bharat.
Whatever may be the personal philosophy of Nitish Kumar, but that was no way in consonance to the philosophy of Lalu Yadav.
Lalu Yadav says that he trusted Nitish blindly but got betrayal in return. Is BJP also not scared that maybe the party faces the same kind of a music?
We are not anticipating, and I believe he's a performer.
Watch to the point with Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Thanks for being with us. The 6-member Monetary Policy Committee, headed by RBI Governor Urjit Patel, on Tuesday started 2-day deliberations in Mumbai. The meet comes amid expectations of at least 0.25% cut in the key lending rate as inflation has cooled to record low levels. The meet is a preparatory to announcing its third bi-monthly policy review of 2017 and 18. The resolution of the Monetary Policy Committee, which will be announced today, is being keenly awaited by all stakeholders, including industry and stock markets. Encouraged by significant price improvement, bankers expect Reserve Bank of India to change its monetary stance. At its second bi-monthly monetary policy review of the fiscal on June 7, the RBI maintained status quo on its short-term rate for lending to commercial banks at 6.25%. And let us take a look at some other national news and developments nationwide. Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Arvind Panagaria has written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi to relieve him of his duties by August 31st. He cited that he was not getting extension of leave from Columbia University. The Indian-American economist and professor of the Indian political economy at Columbia University, Panagaria had joined as the first vice chairman of the Niti Aayog in January 2015. Goa Chief Minister Manohar Parrikar will today file his nominations from Panji constituency for the August 23rd by-poll. BJP leader Siddharth vacated his seat to make way for Parrikar to contest in Panji. Parrikar, who has been getting elected from the constituency since 1994, had resigned in 2015 to take over as the Defence Minister. India and Russia have signed 3 contracts for priority design works and supply of main equipment for Units 5 and 6 of the Kudankulam nuclear power plant in Tamil Nadu. It is after 2 months that the main framework agreement for these units was signed during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Russia. Kudankulam is the single largest nuclear power station in India. The CBI has constituted a special team of 5 officers headed by Superintendent of Police to examine the cases of extrajudicial killings in Manipur. The move of the agency came on the orders of the Supreme Court on July 14th. The Apex Court had directed the CBI to constitute the team to examine records, file necessary FIRs and complete the investigation into the fake encounters by December 31st. The 2-day 7th meeting of the BRICS trade ministers opened in Shanghai on Tuesday. On the first day, Chinese Commerce Minister Zhong Shan presided over the meet and delivered an opening address. Representatives from Russia, India, Brazil and South Africa are participating in the event. On the sidelines of the meeting, China and Brazil signed a memorandum of understanding on service trade cooperation between the two countries. Union Commerce Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is attending the trade meeting. On the bilateral front, Sitharaman is expected to discuss with her Chinese counterpart the trade deficit in India-China bilateral trade. The participating ministers are also likely to discuss a variety of themes, including promoting investment facilitation and trade development, strengthening economic and technological cooperation and capacity building, and supporting multilateral trading system. The World Bank has asserted that India and Pakistan have agreed to reconvene in September over the Indus Water Treaty. The bank added that the secretary-level discussions between India and Pakistan held in Washington this week took place in a spirit of goodwill and cooperation. It further added that both the parties have agreed to continue discussions and reconvene in September in Washington. The two countries last held talks over the treaty in March this year during the meeting of the Permanent Indus Commission in Pakistan. Pakistan had approached the World Bank last year, raising concerns over the designs of the 2 hydroelectricity projects located in Jammu and Kashmir. On the other hand, India had asked for the appointment of a neutral expert to look into the issue, contending the concerns Pakistan raised were technical ones. Shahid Khaqan Abbasi was on Tuesday sworn in as the 18th Prime Minister of Pakistan. He was elected Prime Minister by the Pakistan's National Assembly, becoming the interim leader of the country after Nawaz Sharif was disqualified by the Supreme Court over the Panama Papers scandal. Abbasi got elected after getting 221 votes in the House of 342. After announcing the results amid sloganeering, National Assembly Speaker Ayaz Sadiq asked the Abbasi to take the seat of the Prime Minister and address the House. Abbasi, while addressing Parliament after the voting, said that his election was a victory for democracy. He heavily criticized the Supreme Court judgment which disqualified Sharif.
मैं रिजल्ट अनाउंस करता हूं। शाहिद खाकान अब्बासी साहब ने 221 वोट्स लिए। 4 दिन के अंदर अंदर मुल्क में जमहूरियत का अमल वापस पटरी पर चढ़ गया। कोई डिरेल नहीं हुआ, कोई भागा नहीं, कोई टूटा नहीं।
On more international news, a suicide attack at a packed mosque in Afghan province of Herat killed at least 30 people and wounded more than 60 on Tuesday. The attack, which took place in the Jawaria mosque, coincided with evening prayers when the mosque was packed with about 300 worshippers. Officials said there were at least 2 attackers, one a suicide bomber and another who shot at worshippers with a firearm. The death toll in the attack is likely to go up. No group has yet claimed the responsibility for the attack. Terror group Taliban denied any involvement and condemned the attack. The explosion at the mosque comes a day after an attack on the Iraqi embassy in Kabul, which was claimed by the terrorist group IS. More than 1,700 civilians have been killed in the attack in Afghanistan so far this year.
رگوار میکرده و نارنجک مینداختن.
آمار ثبت شده که تا فعلا داریم ما اضافه تر از 20 شهید داریم و اضافه تر از 30 زخمی که از جمله از این زخمیات 10 واقعی از اینا حالت وخیم دارند.
Crisis in Venezuela deepened further on Tuesday after the rearrest of 2 of the country's most prominent opposition leaders in midnight operations. Security officials led the raids after a court ruled that Leopoldo Lopez and Antonio Ledesma had violated the terms of their house arrest. The court also said that it had revoked the leaders' house arrest because they had made political statements. The 2 leaders were taken to a military prison on Tuesday night. The arrest has prompted further condemnation of President Nicolas Maduro's government, which was already accused of attempting to seize absolute power in the crisis-hit country. The weekend vote for a new constituent assembly was boycotted by the opposition and has been denounced around the world as an attack on democracy. US says it was evaluating all policy options, including putting pressure on President Maduro to step down.
¿Quién fue el de la brillante idea, señores del gobierno, de haber ido en la madrugada, sacar por la fuerza tanto a nuestro alcalde metropolitano Antonio Ledesma?
Clearly what we want to see is for Venezuela to return to its constitution, return to its scheduled elections, and allow the people of Venezuela to have the voice in their government that they deserve. We're very, very troubled by what we're seeing unfold following the Constituent Assembly vote, which went about as we expected. But the rearrest of opposition leaders last night is very alarming. This could lead to an outbreak of further violence in the country.
The detention of these 2 very prominent opposition figures had already been declared arbitrary by the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, which is the authority on these matters. So we're asking the government to respect this decision and to promptly release these 2 men.
Amid tensions over North Korea's weapon program, US has told Pyongyang that it wants to have a dialogue with the regime. Speaking at a State Department press briefing, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that US was willing to sit down for talks with North Korea, but on the condition that it relinquishes its pursuit for nuclear weapons. Tillerson further said that the US government was not seeking a regime change or looking to send its military in the Korean peninsula, adding, "We are not your enemy." But he emphasized that the danger posed by Pyongyang, which test-fired 2 intercontinental ballistic missiles in July, was unacceptable. Pyongyang claimed that its latest missile test could hit the US West Coast and beyond. The Pentagon has updated military options, but at the same time says a confrontation would be catastrophic.
We do not seek the collapse of the regime. We do not seek an accelerated reunification of the peninsula. We do not seek an excuse to send our military north of the 38th parallel. And we're trying to convey to the North Koreans, we are not your enemy, we're not your threat, but you are presenting an unacceptable threat to us, and we have to respond. And we hope that at some point they will begin to understand that, and that we would like to sit and have a dialogue with them about.
And a look at some sports development and sports beat. Spinner Ravindra Jadeja maintained his top position in the latest ICC Test Bowlers ranking, while Ravichandran Ashwin displaced Sri Lankan captain to claim the second spot back. In the batsman rankings, Cheteshwar Pujara was the top-ranked Indian at the 4th position, with captain Virat Kohli remaining static on the 5th place. The batting ranking is topped by Australian captain Steve Smith. Shuttlers H.S. Pranoy and Parupalli Kashyap advanced to the second round of the New Zealand Open. 4th seed Pranoy defeated Indonesia's Shisar Hairan Rustabito 21-14, 21-16, while 15th seed Kashyap brushed aside the Indonesian Hayom Rumbaka 21-5, 21-10. However, it was curtains for Ajay Jairam after he suffered a shocking loss to Xia Honglu of Chinese Taipei in opening round. Liverpool beat Bayern Munich 3-0 in the Audi Cup to set up a final against Atletico Madrid on Wednesday. Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah and Daniel Sturridge scored for the Reds in the complete dominant performance against the German champions. Sturridge, however, went off with a thigh injury after scoring his goal. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha television.